Welcome to the Dork Forest. Jackie and her pals will never bore us. Shameless confessions
about our obsession
will make us laugh and smile. So let's explore the Dork Forest and dork out for a while.
Hey, it's Jackie Cation. Welcome to the Dork Forest. You know the websites, JackieCation.com, DorkForest.com, TheDorkForest.com, FamilyPetAncestry.com. You're probably already there. Let's do the credits. Mike Rickberg composed and sang that song with his wife, Sarah, that you just heard. He's going to sing his version of the Mexican hat dance at the end of the program. Patrick Brady is going to fix this audio, and Vilmos works on JackieCation.com, the website. There are many ways to support the show. The Amazon link is one. You can use an Amazon link from JackieCation.com or DorkForest.com to go to Amazon. You order like normal, and it supports the show. There is a straight-up donation button, PayPal or Venmo, to this email address that is mine, Jackie at JackieCation.com, where you can just donate to the show if you like the show a lot. I think PayPal has figured out a way to do a monthly. If you want to go monthly, please do. Other ways to support the show if you want to is you can buy merch. There's Dork Forest t-shirts, and all the shirts are union made here in America, so they run a little big. Union Bayside, so if you want to look up their size chart. And then the other merch is my stand-up merch. On JackieCation.com, you can watch me do stand-up, you can look at my schedule, and the stand-up merch, a couple of different t-shirts, couple of different enamel pins, and all of my CDs and my DVD. If you want to live stream my DVD, it's over there at comedyfilmnerds.com. They have a live streaming capability, or you can get a hard copy of the DVD on my website. Oh, there are premium episodes at Bandcamp. TheDorkForest.bandcamp.com has probably 10 episodes that were done live. They cost me a couple of bucks to make, so I charge you a couple of bucks. If you've run out of regular episodes, go over to TheDorkForest.bandcamp.com and get some more. Other than that, I say this, let's get into the show. Hey, it's Jackie Cation. I'm in my living room. I'm here with Greg Green.
Hi.
We don't know each other. Gonna just do the Terry Gross.
We do not know each other.
I'm gonna do the Terry Gross thing.
Yeah.
But you asked if you could be on the show, and I was like, of course. Yes. Yeah. If scheduling allowed, it's an attainable goal.
Yeah,
I think in my living room.
I first emailed you when I was in New York, talking about my own podcast to see if I could, if we could do some of those.
Were you doing your podcast from New York?
I was doing a New York-based version of the podcast.
There we go.
And then I moved out here because New York and LA, come on.
Just jump over the middle?
You just make it happen, yeah.
And so, but Greg Green has a podcast now called SoCal Stories.
That's the name of it now, yes.
And that's, how many episodes are there?
So I am probably like 4 in. I post like once a month, so it's not like a lot, but
it's not a huge commitment.
4. It's not a huge commitment, but
you could get into the ground floor, you guys.
Right? Anyone can do this. Turns out microphones are not that expensive.
They are not that expensive, and you could be party to it. So, and it's you're on Instagram at Greggarz, Greggarz.
With that Z, yes.
Don't forget the Z. The Z.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's why they say Zed. Anyway.
As if, ends it.
Right. A
real definitive.
It's definitive. That's going to be a Z. Pardon me while I cough. But we're going to talk about something that more often than not, people have said, how much do you love this show? And I've had to admit that I have not watched this show.
I have not watched this show.
I have barely watched the original of this show.
I watched the first episode. That is all I've watched of the original.
The iteration.
Battlestar Galactica.
Galactica.
Oh, you were going to announce it.
No, but you can announce it. Who can? They're going to know.
They're going to find out. It's going to be the whole episode.
The whole hour is going to be us talking about Battlestar Galactica, a show I don't know anything about.
Yay.
I remember, because it was on at like 9 o'clock.
Sure.
And my bedtime was 8:30.
Oh, goodness.
And it was a strict bedtime.
I was going to say, you have a hard out.
It was a hard out. My parents were like, we don't care. Go away. And pretend to sleep for an hour and then be asleep for 8 and then be awake.
Right.
And then we'll deal with you.
Be a human that we want you to be.
Right. It's one way of parenting.
Right. The original one, I only watched the one episode mostly because I found out that Jane Seymour was on it. And
what did she play? I don't remember her. I remember the Handsome Men. That's who I remember.
She played
windswept brown-haired dude. Windswept equipped.
there was the Starbuck, which was a dude, and Apollo, which was a dude, and those were the two like main guys. And then she played like damsel in distress of some sort, type of thing. Okay. I don't remember because this was a while ago, and
I'm sure someone's listening going, she was amazing. And you're like, so let's not even let's not even go there.
But I have to say, I love Jane Seymour. That's
you love
the thing.
Jane and that's what made you do it.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, of course, I love the original or the new version of Battlestar Galactica. And I kind of had to look into the old one to see if it was something that I would be able to put myself through. And I say put myself through because the old Cylons were very boxy dudes in suits.
The best part of the show was the Cylons, because you listen to the program, you know that I don't enjoy tension. The fact that all the new Cylons in the new Battlestar Galactica are human, look human.
Yeah.
Freaked me the fuck out.
It was,
Yeah, it was intense. I couldn't take it, and I didn't watch it.
Yeah.
So I know it was very well done. That's what I know about the new.
Super good. Everyone really liked it.
Everyone really
they thought
liked
it was the best.
And how many episodes are there? How many seasons
there
were
are 4 seasons.
Okay, that's kind of perfect.
Yeah, it's just enough that you can enjoy. If you're me, you can really dig in deep if you want to, but you can just sort of enjoy for a month and then be done, right?
Right, right. And and around season 5 is when they start,
They have to dig into the bottom of the barrel.
They get a nephew. They buy a special ship.
They just leave and go to some other place.
Right. Yeah. There's people are done.
Yeah,
after around
for sure.
4 seasons, it can be bad. So, what is the premise of Battlestar Galactica?
Okay, the premise of Battlestar Galactica is, it's often just sort of summarized in the beginning, opening credits, basically. Yeah. The Cylons evolved, they left, and now they're back. And they're back to destroy all the humans. They kill all humans. That is what they do.
Okay, so if I remember correctly, the original Battlestar, they were fleeing some war, and there was only 2 ships.
So in this case,
or is that Space 1999?
No, that is Battlestar because it's the same story. The thing that they did for the new one is the old one still existed.
Oh, they just went in canon,
and then now we're just redoing it basically,
essentially
as a new thing.
People have settled on these planets.
Yes,
we lived is what the premise is we lived from that thing.
Sure,
and now we're all on a planet or on a
system of planets.
A system of planets. And the Cylons are back.
The Cylons are back, baby.
Mad.
Yeah. And it starts out as a miniseries.
Okay.
So that's the cool, there's a cool, just history of the show.
Yeah.
Because it went through some hard times, honestly. But it started out as a miniseries, and they were only going to do the miniseries. But the miniseries ends on a cliffhanger, so it's kind of one of those.
That's hilarious. Did you want to know?
Yeah, I mean, if you better. It's crazy, especially so the whole system of worlds is attacked all at once by these Cylons. So prior to this, they had 50 years of peace, and then there's one
I like
outpost.
that it was only 50 years. They're we don't want to get too ambitious with humanity. We're going to kill each other ourselves.
Sure.
But so 50 years of peace, and then all of a sudden all the outposts have been attacked?
So there's one outpost that's in that's on the edge of the red line. They had established this red line in the solar system, the galaxy, I guess.
Sure.
I don't really. They're very wishy-washy, vague about those sorts of things.
It's space opera. It isn't science fiction.
It's true.
Yes.
So at this outpost is where they're supposed to meet if they ever want to parlay, right? If they want to do diplomatic type things. So the show starts out with Trisha Helfer. She's one of the Cylons. She's the gorgeous one. Literally, she's the gorgeous one.
Okay.
She's the blonde hair with the red dress.
And do we know right away that she's a Cylon?
Yes, you do.
Okay.
She's one of the few that you know right away, because that's a big part of the series is that who's a Cylon?
That's what I can't fucking
Maybe
take.
they don't even know themselves. shapes.
Oh, right, because
Yeah.
they're moles.
They're
yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
They've been reprogrammed.
So I like that. So the Cylons, let's go back to a little bit about Cylonism. Cylons are machines.
Yes.
We made them? People
We
made
made them. They actually have a spin-off series called Caprica,
Oh, right.
where it discusses like how they evolved into sentient beings.
Yeah.
Caprica never really got. It got
didn't-
like a season, and
Yeah.
that was it.
But it's nice backstory. If
It's
you're
good
looking for
backstory,
it.
right? Yeah, and it's real like. It was one of those shows that could have gone on for 10 seasons for how much content they put into one
Right.
season. I was
Yeah.
like, whoa, I'm too much story. I don't even know where we are. But excellent. You like if you watch Battlestar Galactica and you like it, you will probably like Caprica.
Right, because you need more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, that's so good. Where's the next thing? Yeah.
Right. What's the backstory on what's this weird parallel thing?
Right.
And so the Cylons were robots that we made. Caprica tells us how they became sentient, but
Yes.
they somehow became sentient.
Yes.
And then they became good looking?
They rebelled as just regular, silver robot, metal, chrome domes.
Right, right.
And then they, when they left, they just left.
Yeah.
Right. So like they didn't know what was going on, but that's when they evolved. They evolved into human shapes because they wanted to take on what their creator looked like.
Ah,
so
there
they
you-
were
Very,
yeah.
very religious.
Very religious. Oh my goodness, so much religion. So much religion. There's Apollo and Starbuck. There's also Athena. And so
they're all named after
there's
old...
Greek gods. Yeah.
The
and then
pantheons are represented?
They are.
Are there any Thors? Odin?
There's not a Thor, although there's some people who look like Thor in that show. Very beefy men. It's
Right.
it's very nice.
It's very handsome.
Very handsome men. But the Cylons believe in one god. They are monotheistic.
Okay.
In comparison to the culture that we're mostly dealing with, the human culture that is pantheistic, right?
Oh, really?
So like they got all the gods, and then the Cylons have the one true god.
Holy shit.
Yeah, right?
What?
It's so intense.
That's super intense.
Yeah.
Okay, so Apollo and Starbuck are now women in the casting?
Starbuck is a woman.
Okay.
Apollo is a dude.
Okay.
Starbuck is...
They ever do it?
No.
Okay.
Although it's always been one of... Well, no, there's... Let's not... Too many spoilers, maybe?
Sure, fair enough.
Let's be
because
careful
is
with
it
that.
all on Netflix?
It's... Oh, goodness. It's on Hulu now,
Okay.
I believe. It's
And-
made its rounds through all
Right.
of the different services, so catch
but-
it while you can.
Right, right. And so, but we can watch it thinking, I bet they're going to get together. And then
Yeah,
you
no,
will-
it's definitely...
It's a moonlighting
There's
kinda,
a will they, won't they,
Yeah.
throughout the series.
I'm sure there's plenty of slash fiction happening.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
oh my goodness, the slash fiction in this show.
and so the Cylons come back.
Yes.
And we meet the gorgeous blonde out at
Yes.
the outpost.
And she like meets the diplomat
Yeah.
and is like, you're all gonna die, and then that thing explodes, right? Like the outpost explodes.
With her in it.
With her in it, right? Right? And then we
Right.
see her again because there are copies of them. There are
Several versions.
12 models. There are 12 models.
There's only 12 models of Cylons.
So the bad guys equal
I may
12, but there's just a bunch of those models around, right?
Right, they respawn.
It's like, exactly. They have spawning ships. Like that's part of the storyline is that if they're close enough to a spawning ship, they die, they download, and then they just get a new body. And that's used to great effect when there's not a spawning ship.
Oh, right.
The
'cause then
humans
there's
can
drama.
use that because then they can be like, you're not going to download again.
Yeah.
You think
This
about
is
that?
it.
Yeah.
Tick-tock.
Yeah, this is it.
Wait, so if there are many versions of one Cylon, they all download into the same database, and then when they re-upload, you get everybody's memories of all the different Cylons that looked like you?
It's complex because there are... And this is what makes part of the show so good is that the actors have to play different versions of
like an evil twin.
Right.
Yeah.
Sort of
But
like
not-
that.
but not that.
They're different. They're of course like they're the same model, but they have different storylines. Like
Yeah.
some of the models like fall in love, some of the models are really aggressive, some of them, but they're all the same person, so they have to play out these different
Right, so but the
storylines
actor's
of
all
them.
the same person.
Yeah.
But the people they're playing are not the same person.
Right. And they
So-
can share memories, but they don't necessarily share those things.
But if you destroy a Cylon away from a spawning ship,
Yes.
their memories are gone.
Just gone. Yeah.
Right. So, but the other 100 versions of them still exist somewhere.
Yes. They still
Okay.
exist, and they exist independent of each other. They're
Okay.
basically each
They're
version that you
individuals.
see is an individual. They're not
Okay.
just one of like a hive mind or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
Yeah, they're each individuals.
Oh, that's interesting. I wonder if
Yeah.
there's any sort of legality that we could talk about there. The fact that, like, if you make a new, and when they make a new body, is that like is it a clone or is it just
It's
it
like
a
an
machine?
empty machine that then
So if
they
you
just
you cut
put a
them,
personality in.
do
basically.
they bleed? If you cut them, do they bleed?
You know, I don't recall a lot of blood happening on the Cylon side.
Right.
They tend to have the upper hand kind of always in the
Yeah,
show.
yeah.
So it's mostly a lot of humans that end up doing the bleeding.
The bleeding? But-
There's one, if I recall correctly, and I probably don't.
Yeah,
but if
but
I
no
do,
worries.
I think they do get stabbed and stuff. So I think there is a little bit of blood going on there.
Right, but what you're doing is it's sort of like an avatar. It's something they're wearing a suit.
Yeah.
They're wearing over the machinery.
Oh,
So what
well,
you're-
no, they are as human as humans. They just have their cells are made up of machines. And
like nanotechnology kind of thing.
yes, it's
I'm quoting other science fiction to this science fiction,
Sure.
but it's the only way to really sort of.
well, yes. All right. The concept, and it's sort of really explained more at the end. And I don't know if this is a spoiler or not. So spoiler alert if you want it.
Sure.
But the idea being that we humans have cells, right?
Yeah.
But this was prior to us having mitochondria in our cells.
Okay.
And that the Cylons are the mitochondria, and then we did it with them
Right.
and created new humans that are actually humans, and this was all in the past, in the giant
so
long
Caprica
ago.
kind of.
Like right now is right now.
Yep.
That still is like we're part of canon, like the human world
Oh,
right
okay.
now. But billions of years ago, the story keeps replaying itself. Basically, we're in
Okay.
this endless loop of creating technology that then surpasses us, tries to kill us,
Right.
and then we end up,
Integrating
doing the
with
nasty
it.
with them,
Right.
basically, right? Like,
Yes. Why wouldn't we?
because we're humans.
It turns out humans are willing to have sex with anything.
Kinda.
Yeah, it's we're like dolphins.
Yeah.
So.
Oh my
what?
goodness.
I don't know. But-
I listened to that This American Life episode.
The one where the dolphins have sex with people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's too much.
it's-
It's not a thing I needed to know existed in the world.
So you said you did not say midichlorians.
Not midichlorians. That would be a great crossover episode.
It's my least favorite part of the Star Wars universe.
Mitochondria.
There we go,
Yeah.
mitochondria, which is a real thing, right
Yeah,
there.
it's a real
That's a real science thing
So
right there
it's
inside of our cells.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
the powerhouse I hear them saying in
Oh, yeah?
7th grade, I think.
Oh well, they're not. Well, why would they lie to us in seventh grade?
Exactly, right?
Right? I don't know if you know this, but George Washington never told a lie. But in 7th grade was when they started saying he might have fudged it a little
Just-
bit. 'Cause that's when
Just
you're
on
giving,
the edges.
Right, that's when you start getting a little bit of truth.
Mostly good, slightly not.
Yeah, truth in advertising.
Right.
It's so funny because it goes downhill and then it goes back up when you get to college. They're like, one of the most amazing things, and then that he
like,
did
"Oh,
do was
yeah."
he was willing to step down from power, and you're like, he was also tired. You
Yeah.
remember how tie he was?
Sometimes
And yeah,
running a revolution can be
right,
and just take it out of you.
and being 70 and wearing like
Sure.
creepy slave
teeth?
teeth.
Slave teeth?
Yeah,
Oh.
his teeth were made out of the teeth of some of the
See,
slaves.
You know,
Yeah, see, it falls apart again.
this is great. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's
There's
not
all
a great
kinds
person.
Of, no. He's a monster who created something, and then that hopefully we're going to aspire to everybody's best idea of
Right.
what they were going for.
Right.
even though they only wanted it for themselves.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're just like, spread the wealth.
Come on, just a little bit.
Just the illusion.
Just the crumbs. I'll take the crumbs.
That's what we've been doing.
That's all we've been doing.
That's all we've been doing. It turns out we would like a slice of pie.
Exactly.
And fair enough. We're going to do it. So we get back from the sex.
Oh, yeah. Okay, the sex with the machines.
With the machines.
Machine sex.
Machine sex. And then, so we're now 50 years after they have left.
Yes.
And they have monumentally evolved.
Yes.
And they're just like, we're going to kill you all.
Yeah, they were just done with it. They were like, you guys don't know what you're doing.
You're not good at this at all, even though we're their gods.
Right. That is part of the whole thing, is that there is the one true God, but we are the creators, and in some way they're trying to kill us that they see as like almost like a false god maybe, or something along those lines.
But they can get
they
to
have a bad, it's not a fun relationship, It's
bad memories.
Yeah, they're like, I didn't like my family, I want to leave.
Right, a lot of people just go out for cigarettes and never return. That's it. That's an old Joe
an
Wilson
easy one.
joke. That is an easy one.
So they come back, they destroy all. And one of the things that you see in the credits at the beginning of the show every time is that it says they have a plan, right? And that's supposed to be like the hook. They have some sort of plan.
It also tells us that the writers have a plan. And
right?
Like, thank you, God.
They're making a promise. They watched Lost too, and they didn't want to get you there. They didn't want you to feel like they were going to betray you. And I will say the show really does hold up quite a bit. Like,
that's great.
They promise something, they deliver on it.
Oh, that's perfect.
Like, it's one of the good things about that show.
That's amazing.
Yeah. It's very hard to get there in the first place for a show to even like be made, right? Like, it's so hard to get a show even made.
Yeah.
To be able to say, we're going to do this. We're going to begin it. We have an ending in mind. The goal was always Earth.
Yeah.
Like, that was the thing. They never lived on Earth at the beginning of the show because basically it was a continuation because they left Earth, right?
They left
forever
Earth.
long ago.
They lost Earth.
They lost Earth.
Right.
Now they are returning.
Oh, are they?
They think they found a path. Yeah, because they left little breadcrumbs along the way.
Okay, so the human plan is we're going to make it back to Earth. The Cylon plan is we're going to kill all of these people.
Yeah.
And if we follow them back to Earth, we can kill them back where they spawned, essentially, right?
The spawning place
of humanity.
Yeah.
And, or whatever, that'll.
Well, so in the end, when they actually do get to Earth, it is basically a chase, right? It's a chase and then resource management. There's a lot of resource management. There's a lot of
Settlers in Catan.
Right? It's like they're getting ice for water, and they're getting, they're trying to find even habitable land for moments. And
okay.
End of season 2, beginning of season 3, kind of a big break point in the show.
2
because
to 3.
They find a habitable world.
Okay.
They don't find Earth. They just find a place where they could, rest and like build.
Yeah.
And they have to make this really hard decision of Earth, the promise of Earth, but the reality of having something that we can actually build on.
Right.
And something that seems like that we would be safe from the Cylons. Like, we're in a location that they don't know.
Okay.
And like they can't track it there for some reason. Like, they have an excuse that literally falls apart immediately because, of course, the Cylons come and they imprison all humans. And they're like,
God.
we're going to try and make it work, guys. But we want to sort of run the whole thing. So you guys are going to be slaves for a while, and maybe we'll figure it out that way.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's season 3?
That season 3 it does a lot of flashbacks and flash forwards so that you get to see them still doing stuff on the actual Battlestar Galactica, but also you're catching what happened while they were on the planet.
Now, is Battlestar Galactica a ship?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. That it is the Battlestar Galactica.
Okay.
And there's actually another Battlestar that comes into play during season 2 called the Pegasus.
Okay.
And it's really interesting. So there's basically every episode at the beginning with the credits. These credits are amazing, by the way. Like, you should just watch the first credits. It's great. But it tells you how many people survived. Like, it's 30,000 people or 30,000 survivors. That number changes from day to day. And
episode to episode?
Yes, from episode to, not day to day, obviously.
Right,
from
right.
episode to episode,
They're
it'll
like,
change.
There are 27,000 people on this ship.
Because, and it's based on the story that's happening. So when people die, they count it. Like they're keeping a running tally
that's
of the
kind of
survivors.
amazing.
It's so cool. So
That's a really excellent device.
right? And then it puts you in the perspective of how do we keep society alive? It really ties you down to we are fighting for the survival of humanity.
Right.
How do we do that? We are down to this number.
Of
There's no
humans.
more humans. And then this Pegasus comes in and suddenly they're more humans.
Yeah.
What? So the Battlestar Galactica is protecting this fleet, right?
Okay.
And the head of the Battlestar Galactica is Edward James Olmos.
Oh, yeah.
He's amazing. His acting in this series is just, it's brash, it's rough, and
Yeah.
it's just like
Kind of perfect?
kind of perfect because Ed almost can just sort of like turn on a dime and it be so natural when it's like, I'm the commander, but you're my friend. Like
Okay.
it's one of those. He has that.
Oh, it's like he has a work relationship
Yeah.
and then he's also a person?
Yeah.
That is an interesting way for an actor to be. I mean, like, because that's two different...
Right.
It's a whole person then that he's acting as.
Yeah. You really do get
And
that.
he's the military leader, right?
Yes. And then there's the president, President Rosalind.
and that's the secular. Like there's like a military hierarchy,
Yeah.
and then there's a bureaucratic hierarchy.
Yeah,
right?
they have a government. They actually keep the government, even though realistically, like
He's gotta be in charge, right?
He's in charge. Basically, he has all the power, but
Right, he controls the air.
he controls it all. Basically, he's got all of the weapons, all of the everything.
Right.
And so it's really interesting that there's tension there between him and Rosalind as she's the president. She was actually 43rd in line to succession because she was the Minister of Education.
Okay.
Or Secretary of Education.
Right. That's how women become president.
Right, exactly.
And,
It's
everyone has
this
to
isn't
die.
stereotypes.
Yeah.
Right? I wrote a whole paper just on her.
Oh, really? My ad. I'm about to do an ad. Rangers, I have had a chance to try HelloFresh. And seriously, it's hands down my favorite meal kit delivery service. All of the ingredients are super fresh and they're all packed together and all the food is interesting. Like they're interesting meals that I wouldn't have picked myself. Last night, Andy and I made Korean beef bibimbap. Here's the thing about Korean food. I love it. I never make it at home, as you can imagine. And, that's not how you pronounce it. It was really easy to make. They come giant recipe cards with pictures on them. They send you all the items that you need. There's 3 plans to choose from: classic, veggie, and family, with the option to switch between them, obviously, as and when your tastes change. It's great. You spend less time on meal planning and grocery shopping because it gets delivered to your door. So you can take advantage of HelloFresh's, that's a hard word to say, special offer for 2019. You get $80 off your first month by going to HelloFresh.com/dork80, DORK80, and you enter dork80 as the promo code. Live by a code, you guys. I really like this meal that I made, which was the Korean bibimbap. The food is seasonal. They're simple recipes with pre-measured ingredients delivered right to your door every week, so you can enjoy cooking and sticking to your goals. My sister and I were talking about how she should use code DORK80 at HelloFresh.com because her kids really like to cook and she likes to cook, and everything is already set. It's already hooked up for you. HelloFresh is enjoyable, it's easy, and quite honestly, it was delicious. Anyway, there's pork chops tonight. We're having pork chops, and then there was a panko chicken also in that box. HelloFresh has a special offer for Rangers in 2019. You get $80 off your first month by going to HelloFresh.com/dork80, and you enter the promo code dork80. Let's get back into the show.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned that, but I didn't know so for school.
Yeah. So when I was an undergrad, the show was airing. It had gone through the first 2 seasons. I think it was in season 3. And I had the best professor in the world. Her name is Kimberly Ann Podless. She's amazing.
What school?
University of North Carolina at Greensboro.
Okay.
So she was the law professor for the film department. that I was
wow.
in. Yeah. So she did media law and ethics, and she also did like active studies of film and television. Like she did like almost scientific experiments, if you could do that. It's
Right.
At least it's like she taught me how to do it. It's where you code different acts that appear in a show and like write them down as evidence. Basically, you actually collect evidence from the show.
Okay,
right?
so you sort of log the show, and then you
Right.
look at it and try to a thesis from that.
Sure, yeah.
A legal sort of to get
Well,
what
this
the
was not.
legalities
This
of
had
it,
nothing
or-
to do with law. I
Okay.
was just like, I'm really into Battlestar Galactica. I want to study it, and I had never really done that type of like researched study of TV or any sort of like creative media. I didn't even know you could do that.
Well, it's an exercise. It's a fascinating exercise.
Oh my God, it's so good.
So
Yeah.
you watched the first 2 seasons and did what?
And I had a notebook with me, and I would code when people talked about her and referenced her as like, oh, she's just a glorified teacher. They would question her ability to lead. Basically,
Little
they were
Bechdel test, but a different kind of test.
right.
Sort of a checking sort of the feminist and the belittlement.
Right. So they said, like, I mean, who thinks that the Secretary of Education is the person that should be leading them in the first place, right? But on top of this,
Right.
like, she's a lady, and ladies
Right.
are thought of as being
Dum-dums.
dum-dums or being teachers. Like,
Right.
they're relegated to this soft thing that is teaching.
Yeah.
Right? They're not hardened leaders who
Military.
have... Yeah. And what I think Rosalind did in the show is... Season 1 and 2 is just her overcoming a lot of those stereotypes and a lot of those thoughts that people have.
Just her trying to do her job,
Right.
but like having to get through a minefield of a bunch of swinging dicks going, nope, what are you doing here? Why are you even here?
Okay, lady, whatever.
It's a classic. Well, you can hang out, but we're gonna double check all your work,
Right.
and so
Yeah, you have to work twice as hard to get exactly the same place.
right, and we may not even let you do shit, and we're
Right.
gonna make fun of you and and we're gonna make gross jokes while you do it because
Gross jokes.
This is our place. This is
Yeah.
where we make gross jokes.
Isn't it nice that we just let you in?
We let you come and hang out.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, if you want to do the dishes, you can.
Sure.
And so, what piece of shit. Anyway, I'm all mad now.
You're just
For
mad
her.
at-
I'm
at
mad for
fictional
her.
characters.
I'm mad at fictional characters and for her.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it was really, that was right after the 2008 election too. So that was like during the whole like Hillary Barack thing. So that's why I wanted to really like investigate what it was like to portray a president.
Yeah.
Like, because we don't really have terms to talk about women in authority.
Right.
Like,
Right.
who knew? We don't really think about women being in authority.
Right, which is the
So-
purpose of fiction in a lot of cases, is to make everybody more comfortable with the idea of women in power, or,
Right.
you know, even, I mean, if you try to watch Will and Grace, you're just like, this is painful, but it was the first time.
It really-
right?
yeah.
And so you're like, I see what you're doing. You're making fun of yourself so that people can kind of accept you as human and as okay.
Right.
And non-threatening.
And they can laugh and be disarmed by
Right.
the funny.
By
right?
the funny and by how charming, and
Yeah.
you're like, and so then and then it makes it okay for the next show to not be quite so dumb.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I think that Battlestar works really well in that little corner, because you get so emotionally engaged in the drama and the suspense and
Yeah.
the action, and you're
rooting for the whole
for 'em.
team.
Yeah.
And she's the head of one
She
of the
just happens to be the head of the team. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's Mary McDonnell, and she's won numerous awards for her acting. She even got her own show after the fact.
Oh, really? What show?
Oh my goodness. She
No
took
worries.
over The Closer, I think.
Okay.
And basically was the Kira Sedgwick person, but
Yeah.
maybe it's not called The Closer. I don't remember
Right,
exactly.
she
But she
got
did
sort
her
of-
own thing. Like
Okay.
she took over, and she's great. She's just she has this ability to have this very compassionate smile. Like a hurt, like she is empathetic at the same time as being somewhat stoic, like being the
Right.
person who recovers.
Yeah.
In a bad situation and smiles her way through it.
Right? Oh, and so that comes out in that character.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and on top of everything, she has breast cancer. Like they threw everything
actor?
at her.
Or
no, the character.
the character
of
has breast cancer?
Yeah. Yeah, the whole series. She's just dealing with breast cancer the whole time. She's like at the very
wrote
beginning.
this?
I know. So it was. Oh my goodness. Ronald D. Moore is the head of the show. He was like the
head
creator
writer?
of that
Okay.
show. And he wrote on Deep Space Nine.
Okay.
And
I was gonna say-
Voyager.
Okay.
So
He has
click,
that.
click. There he is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he's done some really good stuff, and now he's doing the Outlander. He's writing for Outlander.
Is he?
Yeah.
The Scottish time travel.
Yeah, my mom's really into it. I don't even know.
Everyone's mom is really
right.
into it.
Is that
Yeah.
what it is? It's just a
kind
thing
of.
like that.
It's just
historical romance.
it's a historical romance, but it's I tried to read it. I tried to listen to it on Audible. It didn't take. but that I mean that is true of so many things.
Sure.
Because there's so much content.
Yeah.
But Outlander people freaking love it.
They love it. They love it.
She's constantly not getting raped, but so close.
But it's always the question mark
and
somewhere
then
there.
She probably ends up getting raped, and hopefully not liking it.
Yeah.
Is what we're hoping. But so. Okay, so she's the president. She has breast cancer.
She has breast cancer.
There's a fleet of essentially cargo ships with humans in it, and then
Basically.
the Battlestar Galactica protects that fleet.
Yeah.
And then they travel through space. Who's attacking them? Just Cylons?
Just Cylons. At one point, when the Pegasus comes in and gets involved.
Yeah.
So the Pegasus is the it's a bigger ship. It's the actual admiral of the
Of the fleet?
the fleet, I guess. Yeah. I cannot remember. They called themselves Razors, but her name is not Razor. It's something like that. But she's like the actual admiral, and above Edward James Olmos.
Above our military.
Our
leader.
military dude. So we
Yeah.
thought he was the dude.
Yeah, yeah.
And now he has to answer to someone else.
Oh my goodness.
Uh-oh. Dun,
All
dun,
right.
dun.
Yeah, yeah.
And then there's like these moments of like, is he going to kill her? Is she going to kill him? Oh my goodness, what's going to happen?
Military coup,
it's
right?
It's a whole coup.
And so she has the Battlestar Pegasus.
Yeah.
And she has a pile of cargo ships that she's protecting.
Just the Battlestar. She
Oh.
escaped right before everything happened, but didn't jump to like the Alpha site. She jumped into another thing, and
so
then
she missed.
she's been going at the Cylons from the back, basically. So the Cylons are chasing Battlestar Galactica.
Oh, she's
Battlestar
been running-
Pegasus has been chasing the Cylons, not
Okay.
knowing that they were chasing. So they didn't know, and then suddenly she just jumps into space
And then
right
they-
next to them, and they're like, "Oh crap, what? Huh?
Right, mirror universe.
Oops."
And yeah.
So it's a really neat it's almost a mini series inside the series, because there's actually
Is that third season?
that would be season 2.
That's still season 2.
Or 1. It's 1 or 2.
Early.
Yeah, it's early on. And then, I mean, it moves on, and let's just say she's not really part of it after that mini-series.
Okay. Because she's on her own mission too, is to go murder Cylons, right?
That's what she's been trying to do.
Right,
And
so-
that's the thing, is that the two of them are at odds, because she's let's go attack Cylons, and he's let's protect a fleet.
Right, we got to
That's
go.
the other
find,
part.
Right, we got to go find a place to settle these people. They're a
And
bunch of farmers.
She wants to like take all of his men and just go, and he's
Right.
like, "But
I need
farmers."
My men. Yeah,
like,
I need my men. Oh, that's fascinating.
oh yes.
So it's sort of like, is it like a 4-episode arc or a 6-episode arc, something like that?
I think it's like 3 episodes, and then they had a made-for-TV movie.
Oh, God.
I think it's called Razors, or Battlestar Galactica Razor, or something
Okay.
like that.
All right, so there's Battlestar Galactica, the TV show, 4 seasons. There's not
Caprica,
which is, I want to say Captcha, but I was like, what do you read? And put in your code. And so Caprica, there's a made-for-TV movie, which is just about the Razors, kind of.
and another made-for-TV movie at the very end called The Plan. Get
The
it?
Plan. Yeah, yeah.
The whole time, didn't they have a plan?
So it's essentially from the perspective of the Cylons?
Yeah,
maybe?
it just turns the tables, and you get to see what the Cylons were doing at that time. Guess what? They didn't have a plan.
What?
Sorry to spoil it at the end. They didn't have a plan. Well, here's the thing. And I had read something somewhere. So let's just say I don't know that this is real. This could be just fake internet news.
Okay, right.
But I had read something somewhere that they only did it. They only said that they had a plan because the marketing team was like, oh, it'll be better if they have a plan.
It'll be much better if they have a plan, because
Right?
we also lost.
We're all like, oh no,
Yeah.
what's the plan?
I hope
Right?
there's a plan.
And then it turns out they're just, they're just riding by the seat of their pants.
Right,
trying
they're just
to, like,
angry, and they just were like, maybe this is something.
I'm mad.
Right.
Earth.
Well,
and
so-
that's it. Like,
So it's an hour and a half long movie, the plan?
yeah.
So do you think it's the writers going, we should probably tell them they didn't have a plan?
It literally was the writers saying they didn't have a plan, because you can see it, like, there's...
Did they try to have a plan in the plan?
They were basically
it was just a
like,
huge, hey, you guys, we actually didn't.
so
but
there were infiltrators, right?
Yeah.
Like there were people who were Cylons that didn't know they were Cylons, and even people who did know they were Cylons but were just hiding in amongst the humans, right?
Right.
And so there was sort of a plan in the sense that they clearly had objectives to like
Right.
mess up the
But there was
fleet.
no big plan.
But there was no big plan. No, they didn't have like some overarching, we're gonna like
No.
kill all humans, or we're gonna
and then we're going to
do
open
something
libraries
else.
everywhere. I mean, they
Although,
literally.
at one point they were trying to. They had like baby machines. I remember this being like
yeah.
it was. There was a whole storyline where so Starbuck is the lady. She's Kara Thrace. She goes back because she has to pick up something from Caprica that's important for them to find Earth.
Okay.
It's the arrow of Athena or something like that. It's an arrow. But she has to go back and get it so that it unlocks a thing.
Nice.
It's, it's temple
This is-
running
yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff like that. You hand
Well,
me
that's
the jewel, I'll hand you the
fucking
bag or whatever it is,
Yeah,
right?
that.
So she has to go back and get that. And when she gets back to Caprica, there are still people alive there. There are
Oh.
resistance. They're a small resistance, and so she joins the resistance for a little while, and we get some episodes with her doing some, kick butt with some Cylons.
Yeah.
And then she like goes into one of like the warehouses that they had, and it's just women being like inseminated against their will by these rape machines, basically, and like they're trying to make a hybrid. That
Okay.
was their goal. Like if there was a plan at any point, they were like,
want to further hybrid the human Cylon
Right.
experience?
because
They
not
were
clear.
Were they
Not
human
clear.
ladies? Or were-
There were human ladies,
Right.
and then just machines that were attached to their lower bits.
Oh, right.
Like it's not like they were doing a thing with a
Right. This
with
was
another
not a vibrator.
Right.
This was not okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And she gets captured at one point by a Cylon who tries to like. He imprisons her and like psychologically tortures her into believing that they're like a family. They even bring like a kid into the house that is supposedly
Right.
supposed to be a real kid, like a boy, and then
Mm-hmm.
he uses that kid like as leverage to like make her love him. It's this whole like there's a
Weird.
lot of abuse going on everywhere. Everybody's getting abused. Someone
Men, women, children.
it's all
It's all
happening.
bad things are happening on every level.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the other reason I couldn't watch it.
Probably that.
When we think about, and I've told people before, I've never seen the second Godfather movie, because at the end of the first Godfather movie, I was like, oh, that's not going to work.
They seem dysfunctional.
Right, this doesn't seem like it's going to work out when he's lying to her already.
Already.
I'm gonna not watch
It's
episode
like you
2.
keep your little mouth quiet, and I'm gonna go do the big boy stuff over
Right.
here in a room.
That guy kisses his ring, and then she
Yeah.
sees it down the
Through the-
hallway.
yeah.
And I'm like, oh, he's already lying.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take
Yeah.
it on the. I got to see the Fredo.
I think I figured out where this is. I saw the ending
Right.
at the beginning, not buying into it.
I get most of the jokes
Yeah.
now. It'll be fine.
It'll be
most of
great.
the references. And so, wow, so there's so much of that. At what point do they start realizing that there's 12 models and they see the same characters? Is that early
At
on
some
too?
point, the Edward James Olmos gets a piece of paper, and it says there are 12 models.
Okay.
So we know, I think, almost from the beginning, like maybe if it's not in the miniseries, it's in like the first episode.
Okay.
Where he gets a little note saying there are 12 models.
Okay.
And at that point, he didn't even know any of them. Well, no, he knows one. They only know of one because they figure it out during the miniseries.
Okay.
And then they have to go through discovering all of
facial
the
recognition.
other ones.
Well,
right.
I mean, that's the true, I think, arc of the show is let's find these 12 people.
Yeah.
Right. And
of course they're all famous people.
Oh, they're all played by famous actors.
Yeah. Dean Stockwell is, well, I mean, not all of them necessarily, but
They
definitely have some famous people. Dean Stockwell is really big. It's Ziggy says that's that guy, Dean Stockwell, from Quantum Leap. And oh my goodness. When I name the name, it'll they don't. Maybe they do, maybe they don't.
You don't have to spoiler by telling us who the Cylons are. People can go through.
Oh, well, that would be helpful probably not to give full spoilers. But famous people.
Sometimes famous people, but the weird thing is do they ever run into a Cylon? They're like, Jim. And you're like, no, my name's Larry or whatever.
I think they may make like one joke out of that situation where like
that's the obvious joke, right?
Like the whole but it's not you but it's me situation.
I'm a twin.
Yeah.
And I wonder, that'd be kind of a nice touch as if twins were
also involved.
Also involved.
That would get way complex very quickly.
It's just like people just start suspecting twins for being Cylons.
Right. And I never thought of it. They don't even bring it up, but that is actually a good idea, right? Like,
because twins exist.
Twins exist. They look alike. So like,
right.
You're looking for people who look alike. You're going to look at twins.
Yeah, that is hilarious. So what about, here's the other thing that I wanted to know. So are they all super good looking? Like, is everybody's real fit. They all play. What is the game they play? And even if they aren't
call
good
it
looking,
Pyramid. They have like their own game. It's a whole thing.
Oh, the Cylons do?
No, the humans. They have like their own game that they play.
Oh, like football?
Like football, but like it's called Pyramid.
Yeah.
And like it's that you set up like things where you bounce a ball and it has to bounce off of a thing and go into a hole. It's not clear what the actual rules are, but it was definitely made up. It's Quidditch.
Yeah.
It's Quidditch. So.
Wow. Well, it's unnecessary.
Well, but it adds to the world, right? Like it makes it a more fleshed out world because of course people are going to have games and like
and they're
not us, they're not the humans that we know obviously. So of course they're going to have something different. Right. Like
and they live on a ship, so it's going to be like handball.
Yeah. So it's going to be something like handball.
Yeah, cuz they're going to be in a box and they're going to have a ball and then they're going to have to bounce it. Certain numbers. Lots of bouncing. Maybe there's a basket or a gate that they have to get it through.
So it's like they're planes, like they're elevated planes, and then like some of them have holes in them that you try and get the ball into.
Okay.
So it's like basketball meets handball meets we're just making it up as we go along.
Here's the real question. Who's your favorite character?
Oh my goodness.
Did you know it was coming?
I knew it was coming, and it's almost too easy. Well, no, it's almost too easy because I did a whole paper on her.
On that lady.
Yeah. So, I mean, President Rosalind is gotta be just one of the most interesting characters I've ever seen. Mostly because, like, the actress who embodies it, Mary McDonnell, is just so aware of where her character is going. She has this there's a higher level religious aspect to it. Like there are these like Bibles, if you will. I don't remember, they're scrolls of some sort of like they're their own Bibles, human Bibles.
The human Bibles for the pantheon that they believe
for the pantheon. Yeah. So she's reading these Bibles and like sort of becoming one with the universe type of thing, but all within like the aspect of like, we don't know if this is true. So some people don't believe it. Some people do. Some people are skeptical.
Right.
And so like, she's also questionable in her decision-making skills when she's like relying on religious texts to make decisions.
Oh, wow.
Right. So that's also happening.
Yeah.
And she's dying from her cancer.
Right.
So she's also taking like all of these heavy medications and stuff like that. So she's this very like broken character that has this beautiful soul inside of her.
Okay.
And has to make some of the craziest decisions. In season 1, so remember 30,000 people, 27,000 people.
Right.
We're dealing with small numbers.
Yeah.
And a girl is pregnant in one of the episodes and wants to get an abortion. I don't remember the exact reason she wanted to get an abortion. I think she was I think she was probably raped or something along those lines.
Fair enough.
That's tends to be how dark they go.
Right, and it would be the only reason because the thing is what okay, finish what you were saying.
So I see where you're going though. I think it's the only acceptable reason for some people in that case. But in this case, so Mary McDonnell has to go, I am a feminist, because that's another thing. She's very, she embodies a lot of feminist aspects, and she would call herself a feminist.
And what year did they make this TV show?
It would have been 2006.
Right, so it was in the aughts.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she's portraying this feminist, and she doesn't want to tell this girl that she can't get the abortion that she wants, right?
You don't
It's
actually
her
have
body.
control over your own bodily functions.
But
we need that kid.
We need that kid, right?
Yeah.
We got to have that kid because I need one more person on that list that I need to make another mark. The number needs to go up.
Yeah.
And so she, in the end, tells her she can't have the abortion. And it's one of those really hard moments because she recognizes herself in that girl.
Right. Well, does she offer her a gajillion dollars or anything? Because
as I recall, it's a adoption situation. She's like, you got to have the baby, but you don't have to raise the baby.
Well, and the thing about it isn't so much as is you value your own body, right? So you're you're gonna essentially, my job is to gestate for the next 9 months.
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna make that worth your while.
That would be, that would have been a good idea, right?
That's what the market should do, right?
Whatever the market will bear.
Right. Well, they clearly will not bear children.
Right.
And that whole child thing is super important. You would think that was any of the plots, we have to take all of the women and turn them into baby making machines, except for the Cylons.
Only the Cylons do it. They don't actually go about that in any way. I know that
address it.
They address it,
but the bad guys do it.
But the bad guys are doing the baby machine situation. Mm-hmm. Here, we're basically trying to be good humans to each other.
Yes.
Mostly, I think that when you go into the normal world, the civilian world.
Onto the cargo ships?
Yeah, onto the cargo ships, onto any of the
slums.
Yeah, you're seeing normal people just trying to get by.
Right.
And help each other out.
Right.
Aside from there was one prison ship.
Okay.
And so that has its own sort of storyline. Someone comes out of that prison ship to become a politician in the government there.
Oh.
So it's a full government. It's a elected government. Each of the ships get to elect their own representative. The representatives go and to a
represent
Congress,
them and
blah blah blah. And so the prison ship gets to represent themselves, even though they were but they're prisoners. They shouldn't. But then again,
But they're people.
Those worlds are exploded that they were on that even had the crimes that they committed. But
right. And so do they end up electing the biggest dirtbags, or do they end up electing
They elect a political dirtbag.
Right.
Well, not a dirt. He's clearly not he's not a good guy. He's very willing to do some bad things to get the thing done that he wants to get done.
Right.
But he was a political dissident, and that's why he was
imprisoned.
Yeah, that's why he was imprisoned.
Okay,
so he has
white
that
collar
good guy.
That's weird.
Thing. I think he was part of an organization that did some amount of terrorism.
Okay,
at some point.
So it got to a point where they were blowing things up and stuff like that.
And you gotta stop that at some point.
Right. Especially if you're trying to create a TV show where everyone is you're trying to have these people be their higher good, and then show the flawed humanity within the higher good. But the higher good is, because the humans are the good guys and the Cylons are the bad guy, you have to give the illusion that humans are better than the Cylons.
They have some sort of moral compass.
Right.
That is inherent to humans.
What they never do on these science fiction, because the thing is because I know that in a real situation like that, if they were worried about the the humanity surviving, there would be rape machines and there would be baby farms, right?
Oh, yeah.
And women would not be pilots because
they
then
would
they
not.
would not childbearing women and years. And so what I wish some of these science fiction would, one of them anyway, I know, and I quote this all the time on the Dork Forest, is Lois McMaster Bujold created uterine replicators, which is just
replicators.
Yeah, essentially it's just a can. You put the sperm and the egg in a can, baby grows.
Boom.
And it creates a placenta.
With the power of science.
Well, yeah, it creates a placenta, and then so whoever you're like, you want to have kids? Okay, well then you have to rent a uterine replicator. Do you have that kind of money? And so it's
we're a world where only the wealthy have children.
Well, and there's different planets in that world.
Oh, okay.
Where there's the sort of the utopian world where everyone when they turn 13 is not neutered, but they have their reproductive organs are put on hold.
Oh, okay.
Like men's sperm
like
don't work.
Stunted.
Yeah. Well, the eggs don't work, and then essentially like an IUD, but for men as well.
Okay.
And so that and to get that removed, you have to apply. It's like driver's license. You have to just apply,
wow.
and then you're like, oh, okay, you
Sure.
can have a kid, and then they remove it, and then you go to your
Okay.
doctor and have it removed, and so that's how they control the population on Beta Colony. On Barrier, they control the whole woman and just the woman.
Just the woman.
Yeah, and they're just like, so it's dowry. It's old-timey medieval,
You're a piece of property now.
You're a piece of property, and when you get violated, your dad has to go kill that guy or make him marry you.
Right.
And so one of those two things is happening. And
what's...
who doesn't want to marry their rapist?
Right, exactly.
Exactly. And so, but I mean, the uterine replicators, when they're introduced into Barrier, blow their minds. Because the women are like, because you what you do is, and on Beta, that's all they use.
Sure.
There's no body birth. They find it vulgar.
As do I, honestly. I also find it vulgar.
It is also super, like, more likely to fail.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I mean, and the thing is if you want, like, one of the characters wants, like, 6 kids. And so they get 3, and because he gets talked down to 3, and or 2 or something like that. They're like,
I have a
2?
rental kid here if you want one,
How about we just...
A pre-owned, certified, pre-owned kids.
Plenty of kids sitting around. And then somebody else starts like a baby farm because he wants to sell the daughter and only girls. And you could pick what... it's sort of like China, except for, again, not manual.
Right.
So it's not done manually when they're born. Ooh. It's done in utero. So whatever. But I mean, the thing is so the darkness that is Battlestar Galactica.
Oh, yeah.
One of the reasons I had a hard time watching it is because there's so much darkness out in the real world, and I'm like, I would like a happy show. But I love the idea. I mean, clearly it's incredibly well done.
Oh, absolutely. The graphics on it won several awards.
The effects stuff,
the
and all
effects
that?
and stuff like that. Yeah, it was.
How
it
were
was
the battle
first time.
scenes?
The battle scenes are fantastic. It was the first time that they used really used camera work inside fully digitally created environments. So all of the actual fight scenes are digital, right? Obviously, you're not gonna have actual battle stars or anything like that, but they zoom in and the camera shakes and it moves all around trying to find the thing like you would do if you were, I don't know, reporting on a battle. You're gonna zoom into the action and pull back and do all of these things that really, I mean, at least I hadn't seen before. I don't know that it had ever really existed before, and it was one of those things that brought you more into it because it felt like it was real.
But they're in a giant soundstage, and so people are fighting, and so the digital effects that you're talking about, where they zoom into these things,
that is purely digital.
That's purely.
This is outside of. This is you're looking at the outside of ships. You're not on the inside. You can't see the people.
Okay.
And then they have close-ups of their faces when they're talking to each other. It's red leader, that sort of stuff. And then they cut out to the lovely graphic painted war scenes.
Sure.
And they're always just about to jump when all of the missiles come in. They're like, get in, we're gonna go. And then they jump. And then explosions.
Yeah.
But they just missed.
Zort.
Yeah.
And that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it's such a cool idea. The journey. I mean, that's why it was so fascinating in the original. Is they're just like, we're looking for Earth, and now in this one, they're also still looking for Earth, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's one of the things, a common theme, and it's repeated many times, is that all of this has happened before, all of it will happen again.
Oh, okay.
So at the end of the show, and since we've already sort of talked about it, and I don't feel too bad about saying this, it sort of cuts to today.
Yeah.
Like today. Like they actually use news segments of like
2010.
the evolution of 2010. Yeah.
Right.
The evolution of technology. Like we're building the robots now, right?
Oh, wow.
And so all of this has happened before. It's happening again. And it's happening to you and me, Jackie. It's happening to you and me.
Why isn't that at minute 59?
Right?
Because that's so great. By the way, I am talking to Greg Green, and you have your own podcast, SoCal Stories.
SoCal Stories, yeah.
And it's on SoundCloud and iTunes and all the places where podcasts
check it
are,
out.
right? SoCal Stories. And it's at Gregars on Instagram, GREGGARZ.
Zed. Yes.
Zed. And weird. So let's ask quickly, I mean, before we go, your summation of Battlestar Galactica.
Oh, Lord.
But I was going to ask you first about SoCal Stories. Like,
oh, sure.
So you interview people about that live in Southern California.
Yeah. And so what I was doing in New York, I just sort of took that same concept.
What were you
and
doing
moved
in
it.
New York?
I was doing, so the first half of the podcast is tell me your story for this city, right? Like, how did you get here? Where have you lived?
Oh,
Tell me
interesting.
about like
The
something
parts of
in
town
the parts of town that you like. Is there something that you enjoy
Is it
doing?
an hour?
It's 30 minutes. So
And
it's like
30 minutes.
Yeah, you can fit it in
Keep
your
it
commute.
tight.
Come on. So
Here
it's,
you can't. You can fit 3 into your commute.
Well, true.
And
I've taken the 10. It's not great. So the first half-ish is that. And we sort of talk about where they live, what they think about the city that they live in, if they're native versus moved here, and how they got to that. And then it inevitably bleeds into, I have this passion for this thing. So
Okay.
I make music, or I write, or I do something like that. So we get to sort of see both what the city is like, but also what people in the city are like.
right, and what they do with it, sort of thing.
Sure.
It's-
And sorry, I
that's
was going to
neat.
say, every so often I'm doing like every couple episodes I take a space, like I go to a place, like I went to the Santa Monica Pier, and like I do a walk and talk and like give you the history of the place. So it's very travelogue-y type of thing as well. So
Super
it's,
fun.
It's all of the things.
Kurt Braunauer once blindfolded me and took me to Occidental. It wasn't Occidental. It was it was a different college. Occidental came to my mind, but it was super northeast.
Okay.
But inland of Los Angeles, and there's a weird bunch of statues there. And so what he used to do it in New York, where he would take people to he would blindfold them. It's a trust exercise for sure.
Right.
But we only drove like 15, 20 minutes, and I felt like he could have taken me to Joshua Tree.
Right.
Because I was like, I've never seen this terrain.
Fully new to everything
what
that's
is happening. And it was super weird. And but Kurt Braunauer's, I did that podcast one time. I don't know if he's still doing it, but it's sort of like what you're talking about.
I have heard of that podcast. I don't remember the name of it. I do know of I think I heard about it on some other
Right.
million podcasts that I listened to.
Exactly. One of the others.
That he did that, so.
Okay, so would you suggest Battlestar Galactica? We're back. Would you suggest people start with the first miniseries?
Oh, absolutely. You need to start with the miniseries.
Not with Captiva? What's the name?
Caprica.
Caprica.
Well, if you wanted to start
linear?
chronologically,
Yeah.
you could go with Caprica, but
More
I
fun.
wouldn't,
Right.
Because I can't remember all of the giveaways, but there are giveaways to things that happen later on in the series.
Oh, so then
From
don't.
Caprica.
Yeah.
So I would stick with start with the miniseries. The first episode of the actual series comes right off the miniseries. It's like just straight on, and then you go like a bat out of hell until we get to Earth.
Until we get to Earth.
Yeah.
And then the movies in the midst.
Yeah, the movies happen at, I think, mid-season 2.
Okay.
And then like right. I think
the very
like
end.
the very, very end. So you watch the final episode, and then I think a couple weeks later is when the plan came out.
Okay,
So,
and then you could watch the first, the prequel.
There's also one made-for-TV movie called Battlestar Galactica: Blood and Chrome.
Yeah.
I have no idea what that is. I have not been able. So I didn't watch it when it came out because I just don't think I had like cable at the time.
Right.
But I have heard about it and I want to see it, but I was looking for it and could not find it anywhere.
Oh, weird.
Probably not the case anymore. I could probably go look it up, but I haven't seen it. Can't necessarily recommend it myself, but it is another part of that story.
And there's a documentary too, you said, right?
Yes. Well, that was on the DVDs because I had, the DVD case was so neat. It had, it was a square box. All of the DVDs were on the outside of the box, and on the inside of the box was a figurine, an action figure of a Cylon.
Oh, like a
you
bust?
Got a little thing,
like more like a statue.
A statue, yeah,
not a posable action figure, but a statue.
Not
kind
posable.
Of thing.
It's like a little statue that you. Well, it did have like articulated hands. I think. So you could do you could have it reaching out or something like that.
Greg Green, this has been a delight. We are at an
fantastic.
Hour. Thank you so much for doing the Dork
flew
Forest.
by. Oh my goodness.
Oh, it will. And you guys, we're listening to SoCal Stories. That's what you could find his podcast.
Absolutely.
And what was the name of the New York one?
It was called Stories from Gotham City.
There you go.
But I kept them all in the same. They're all in the same podcast line. The feed.
Okay.
So you can listen to all of them through SoCal Stories.
Fair enough. And then it's at Gregor's on the
Instagram. Yeah.
And we've been listening to Greg Green. That sounds very NPR. Anyway, thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah.
And Rangers, you know the rules out there. Take care of each other.
My hat, my hat, my hat. They're dancing around my hat, my hat, my hat, my hat. Well, what do you think of that? If it looks like a Mexican hat dance and it sounds like a Mexican hat dance, it's most likely a Mexican hat dance. So take off your hat and let's dance.
Yay! Oh my God. Why don't we just call that as the end of the show?